Okay. Good evening. The special meeting of the Monroe Township Board of Education will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Is that Mr. Polari making that noise?
I think it's everybody's phone going off. Mine's off.
I should turn mine off too. May we have a roll call, Mr. Gorski?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Arminio.
Here.
Let it be noted for members of the public that Mrs. Arminio is on the phone to my right, and she will be participating via teleconference in accordance with the board's policy. Mr. Chiarella.
I am here, thank you.
Let it also be known that Mr. Chiarella is absent this evening and under the same policy provision is participating via teleconference on the phone to my left. Mrs. DeMayo.
Here.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes, here.
Mrs. Lang.
Here.
Mr. Peluri.
Here.
Mr. Ryback.
Here.
Mrs. Siegel.
Here.
Mr. Tefano.
Here.
Mr. Rutsky. Madam Board President, you have a quorum present this evening.
Thank you.
In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted May 24th, 2019 at all schools, the Home News Tribune, Cranberry Press, and filed with the clerk of the municipality.
Thank you, Mr. Gorski. At this time, I'd like to have a moment of silence to honor Mayor Tamboro's wife, Carol, who passed away unexpectedly this week. She was a very, very sweet lady, always had a smile on her face and a kind word for everybody, and she will be very missed. So a moment of silence for Mrs. Tamboro. Thank you very much. This time we have a public forum, but I have a statement before we go to the public forum, because I think it might answer or address some of the possible questions that could arise this evening during the public forum. And although I expressed or explained the process of budget cuts at the last board meeting, I feel I need to do so again. At the March 2019 Board of Education meeting, the members of the board approved the preliminary budget. At that time, Mrs. Arminio approved the budget, but requested in public that the Finance Committee go back and look at potential areas that could possibly be cut from the budget. The time to look at cuts is between the preliminary budget meeting in March and the final adoption meeting in April. And although it's unusual to make cuts at that time, we have done that in the past. After the March meeting, other board members, which included myself and Mr. Polori, tasked the administration to come up with a list of areas that could be removed from the budget without impacting programs, staffing, safety, and then bring it to the Finance Committee. There was also a request to restore $600,000 that we were going to use in the budget back into the reserve accounts for future use, and to get the budget under 2 cents. Central administration, along with principals, supervisors, and directors, came up with a list of 20 possible areas that could be removed from the budget. The Finance Committee reviewed and deliberated each and every line item and decided on approximately $800,000 worth of cuts, which was recommended and approved by the Board of Education at the final adoption hearing in April. In regard to the transportation cuts, it is imperative to note that the Director of Transportation, the Director of Security, and other administrators felt that the courtesy busing routes that were eliminated were those district-wide that had the least impact on student safety and included developments near Oak Tree that has sidewalks and were adjacent to the school, and in Woodland, where crossing guards were available for students. The administrators did go out to the impacted areas, walked the routes, and calculated the mileage. Additionally, non-mandated late-run bus routes or courtesy bus routes at Monroe Township High School and Monroe Township Middle School were eliminated. For the past few years, it has been recommended by the Middlesex County Superintendent and Business Administrator that we consider removing all courtesy busing from our annual operation budget. We hear you and we understand your concerns of the parents of our students, and we have tasked the administration to see if they can come up with viable solutions to the busing issue and procedures for walkers, students being driven to school, and any other considerations to ensure a safe and successful school opening in September. Any recommended changes must go through the Board of Education committee process for their review before being sent to the full board for approval, which means that any recommendations coming from the administration has to go through to the Board of Education. We are a board of committees. They will probably go to either the Finance or probably Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation Committee for that committee to deliberate and then make a recommendation as to whether they wish to present to the full board. All our committee meetings are open to the public, and we invite you to come and attend them. Although you can't participate in them, you are able to hear the deliberation process. A list of dates and times for committee meetings are on the district website. I believe our next round of committee meetings is on June 11th. This time, I do not know what time the Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation meeting is scheduled for. The second issue I have is also related to the budget cuts. A copy of the list of potential budget cuts was given to the Finance Committee, was recently posted on Facebook, and was indicated that all 20 items that were on the list were cut from the budget. This is not true. The new Math Honor Society was not cut. It ran last year as a pilot club and will be continued this year as a stipend position. It's the same for the Light Camera Action Club. That was not eliminated from the budget either for the same reason. It ran last year as a pilot club and will continue as a stipend position this year. Any new clubs that were proposed to the Board of Education, such as the swim club, were eliminated from the budget. We are not going to be implementing pay-to-play for any sport or any club at either the high school or the middle school. Though this was considered on the proposed list, there was never any intention by any Board of Education member to implement pay-to-play. So I don't know how that got put on Facebook, because I've never seen anything coming from the Board of Education that said we were going to be implementing that. We are redesigning the use of building program so that it not only recoups our expenses, but could be used as an added revenue source, as there are many organizations throughout the community and outside wishing to utilize our facilities. We did eliminate 5 teachers at the middle school from the budget. The budget was created during the time of the referendum vote. The board wished to add staff at the middle school to the operating budget yearly so that we could transfer staff over to the new middle school when it opened without creating havoc in that year's operating budget. Since the new middle school is not happening at this time, we will continue to utilize the staff we have. So in the end, it's important to get your facts straight before believing everything that you see on Facebook. I think the people who are out there that would like the answers to questions, you can contact any board member. Our email addresses are online on the district website. You can also address or contact any of the administrators or the principals at any school. So at this time, we're going to the public forum. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please give your name and address for the record. We will adhere to our 4-minute time limit since there are so many people here today. When the timer goes off, your turn is up, and you may only come up once during this process.
It's not that I don't trust your timing, but I brought my own timer to
We
make
go-
sure I
we
get
go-
my 4 minutes.
We go by the official
Okay,
timer.
I came here prepared to speak at this point
Could
of the
you please
meeting.
give us your name and address?
Oh, Mark Klein, 7 Crenshaw Court. I came here thinking that we were going to have at least 2 portions for the for the comments, public comments, but I see on the agenda there's only one. So I'm going to go easy. Something that I would suggest to avoid what happened last month and has happened to me many times in front of this board and this president. Last month you had the first public part was for the agenda only. The second one was for all comments. And the third one was pertaining to the closed meeting that you had, which turned out to be for the process of finding a new superintendent. When I asked a question about it, I was told I cannot ask, that it's secret. The recommendation that I make to avoid what you did last time and every time before is if we're only allowed 4 minutes, when we get down to 30 seconds, it would be nice if somebody on the board, Mike or yourself, say you have 30 seconds left. This way we're able to finish what we have to say without wasting time. But to jump at me the way you did, when I had 2 sentences more, and you had to have a police officer come when I was already finished to walk away from the podium, that is disgusting. And your day will come the next time you're up for election. Thank you very much. And that was below the 4 minutes.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Hi, my name is Vishwabha, and I'm from 32 Tracker Street. So I'm here today in the interest of high schoolers and the cutting of the after-school buses. The point I want to bring to the table here is that clubs are essential to high schoolers, and they play a far greater role than many people realize. Many people see clubs as simply an advantage for college or a way to get ahead, but really they're an opportunity to, widen our world in a way that we've really been sheltered from before. We're able to meet new people from different backgrounds and pursue passions that we otherwise wouldn't be able to. For example, clubs such as Peace Ambassadors and GSA, they foster a sense of diversity and acceptance in an otherwise very tumultuous high school environment. There's also other clubs such as Art Club and Newspaper Club that allow you to escape the stress of academics and any issues that you have in your home life. Basically, the point I want to get across here is that clubs are far more important to students than many realize, and it's kind of your job as the Board of Education to provide more than simply a competitive environment in our high school, but also a way to relieve stress, to help with mental health, and to find support for students who otherwise don't have any opportunities for that. To cut out the opportunities for students to stay after cuts out the chance to explore all the aforementioned benefits of clubs. And every student situation is different, and it's not plausible to simply say that there's a way for people to still have access to all these extracurriculars if there's no after-school buses. Students shouldn't have to sacrifice either grades for extracurriculars. They should be able to live in a system that doesn't cater to only one certain demographic, but can be inclusive and non-discriminatory to all socioeconomic backgrounds. The purpose of education is to increase the opportunities of our students, and cutting after-school buses does the exact opposite of that. This institution is supposed to provide more opportunities for our students, more chances for them to develop and grow, and that's what clubs do, in addition to the very difficult and competitive environment that Monroe Township High School is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shilpa Gidigu. I live on Harbor Court. So, hello everyone. Before I address the concern of after-school buses no longer being provided in our district, I would like to address the common goal that everyone in this room has, to provide a well-rounded education whilst offering a multitude of learning opportunities to the students of Monroe Township. However, unfortunately, the lack of after-school transportation greatly affects this. In addition to clubs, every week throughout the academic school year, there are after-school sessions and tutoring sessions. In the high school, students are able to attend said sessions because of the reliability they have on the provided transport after school. While means of transportation such as carpooling can be arranged occasionally, many students have parents that unfortunately come home at a much more later time and therefore cannot consistently pick up their children from school, especially given that the school cafeteria closes at 6 p.m. Additionally, while it's possible for the upperclassmen to drive, the school has limited parking, and regardless, many students would be facing a huge inconvenience. Due to the inability to attend tutoring sessions or help sessions, students' grades will drop due to physically not being able to reach out for academic help and utilizing the resources that are available. Furthermore, in the high school, if one misses an exam due to an absence, they're expected to make it up in a testing center after school. Though the testing center is open from Monday to Thursday, the average student cannot make it up on a Monday or a Wednesday. The most popular days are the Tuesdays and Thursdays because after-school busing is provided. However, if the after-school buses are cut, many students will not be able to make up these tests, drastically lowering their grades throughout the school year, creating a domino effect of the school not being as highly scored in terms of education and the school ratings going down. Excellence is our expectation, but without transportation, a reliability, a key component in enabling students to make up their tests and obtain the help they need through after-school mentoring sessions. How can that expectation be reached? Thank you.
Thank you.
Benisha Patel, 15 El Dorado Way. Excellence is our expectation. MTHS students are held to this expectation by faculty and administration. Some go beyond that aforementioned excellence. A prime example of this is the Environmental Action Club. We began our 2017-2018 academic year with 2 members. Throughout our year, with hard work and a lot of dedication, we are now at 45 actively involved members, 5 of which are sitting along with me, as we are now the newly elected executive board. We were told that this year we needed to accomplish 20 hours of community club service in order to remain in good standing. So we did. That was in September. To date, we have over 100 cumulative club hours, whether it was at Green Fair or various events with NASA Moon Rocks. It wasn't easy, but we made it work. Not because we wanted to show great numbers, but because our members were genuinely passionate about the work they were doing outside of their classrooms and across grade levels. This genuine passion is nearly impossible to foster through a classroom. This dedication put forth was only made possible by logistical practicality. We never hold meetings on any other day besides Tuesdays and Thursdays solely for the purpose of busing, because we understand that our members do not have the luxury of having a parent that can pick them up in the middle of a work week at 3 or 4 p.m. If our high school wants to continue having a diverse club repertoire and student successes beyond just the 4 walls of a classroom, we implore you to look at your expenditures and your practices. The fact that we are at a point that transportation is being cut is telling the student body that our interests, our ambitions, as well as paths for lifelong discovery are only worth the dollars on a bus seat. Or a gym seat? Well, clubs can function without busing, but the longevity of that plan is not long at all. Without busing, our clubs are left with only those that have the luxury of an available ride or a parent. We lose the countless students that can no longer find a way home, and their ideas, their helping hands, and they lose valuable opportunities that a school should be providing them. We're here to let you know that without transportation, our clubs will likely diminish in size and impact. According to District Goal Number 1, as stated in your District Goals presentation and on the district website, your goals are to expand STEM initiatives, develop the whole child through community engagement, and develop learning opportunities for students to understand their civic responsibility. Well, our clubs seem to be the most utilized avenue for students to do exactly as your goals state. No longer will our club be able to effectively educate younger children on deforestation and renewable resources. No longer will we be able to effectively plant the seed of environmental advocacy and education in younger minds so that they can find themselves hopefully prolonging the natural beauty that we are lucky to live in as an over-adequate district. But beyond extracurriculars, take a look at the impact that these cuts will have on academic achievements. After speaking with a few faculty members, they told me that the pressure is on them to deal with student absences and when they're going to make up their projects, their tests, their quizzes. As previously mentioned, testing centers are only popular on busing days. We pay for the after-school tutoring brought to us by our teachers, but students are less likely to take advantage of those resources that you are paying money for. If they don't have a way home, let us ask this. How do you expect students to excel and go beyond by minimizing necessary resources if all they are to you are numbers on a budget, forcing us to take 2 steps back and no steps forward?
Thank you.
Kumar Thirumalapan, 32 Sheller Drive. I'm just here to point out a couple of issues with the courtesy bus cuts. What we feel is the bus cuts have not been made across the board, and it has been targeted towards certain areas of the township. The reason why I'm kind of bringing it up is I've been living in Edison until a couple of years back, and I moved here. What had happened in Edison is they had cut the bus across board, irrespective whether there is proper driving conditions, proper walking conditions, whatnot, right? There have been communities from where you got to cross the Edison station, cross a couple of traffic lights before getting into John Marshall School, right? Compare that with the situation in some of the schools in Monroe. You don't have that kind of an issue, but still only some of the buses in Oak Tree has been eliminated. So we want the board and the administration to look at options of bringing back the bus. That will be our best case scenario. If not, cut the buses for everybody under 2 miles universally. Number two, most of the parents, they would be willing to accept some kind of subscription busing. So with the amount that was basically put out as part of the, the list of cuts that were done, the amount was about $192,000. With 250 kids, this basically comes around $780. This is probably in line with what is happening across New Jersey. In Edison this year, they have basically increased the subscription bus cost to $650, and that is being paid upfront. If Monroe Board of Education can do something of that sort, that is, before middle of July, you ask the parents of these affected communities, that is pretty much everybody under 2 miles, pay these fees. You can use that money to get additional buses, and you can still have those buses for the kids, and those kids are under 10, and they are the most vulnerable in this society. Thank you very much.
Hi, thanks for taking time to listen to us. My name is Amit Agrawal. I'm a father of an 8-year-old who goes to Monroe School District, and I live about 1.95 mile from the jurisdiction perspective. So I'm one of the affected father. Professionally, I'm a chief executive officer of a 400 people company. So I do interact with finance team on a daily basis and understand a little bit of finance because of the nature of my job. One thing that kind of stood out to me was Board of Education didn't really understand the opportunity cost. There are about 300 kids affected, taking about 45 minutes of walk two-way every single day. Assuming about 200 working day in a year, you are wasting 90,000 man-hour every year now because of walking. I'm surprised that you're counting $90,000 so cheap, 90,000 man-hours so cheaply that you don't think that it is worth more than 200K. And considering that the financial team manages about $133 million per year, I'm also very surprised that they couldn't find better saving opportunity than the one that is affecting so many kids at such a huge level. I keep hearing about a lot of points about safety and the number of measures that you're going to take with respect to safety. In last 2 days, and I travel quite a bit, but even in last 2 days, I haven't been able to take a flight out of New Jersey because in my phone, I received about 7 tornado warning. If my 7-year-old is walking down the path from the elementary school to home and there's a tornado warning, what measure do you have to keep her safe? I would really like to know that. And if something happens to her, I just fail to understand. The pathways are not even snow clean. You can give me all the legal reasons, but I understand just one thing. You guys have taken cuts wherever you could legally do without considering the impact on us. Anything that you could legally defend, you have just taken those cuts without considering impact on people like us. What do you expect? Do you really expect a 7-8-year-old kid to walk in unpaved road on a snow day or on a tornado day to school, or you are just expecting the parents to pick up the burden, either to pay for those buses or to drop them and pick them from school and take away the productive time that we have out at our job. I really think that you have just done what you could legally do, as opposed to thinking about us and the kids. That's all I feel about what the committee has done. Last but not the least, if there is a way, if my legal team can find a way to impeach or could move no confidence motion in this finance committee, I would really like to explore that. It's just that I haven't understood the concept yet, so I haven't been able to do that. But if I could, I would. Because I think you guys do not care about us. You guys just have taken the easy way out as opposed to really finding a way to make it work. One more point. I understand the finance. There was 2 million in reserve, 600K was short. They're leaving 1.4 million in reserve. You guys need only about 800 to 900K for trailers that will be required next year. You do not even require the 1.4 million that you currently have in reserve. So there was no need for you to add another 810,000 to reserve. You could have lived with 1.4 million reserve that you have. Or even if you wanted to replenish reserve, you could have gone at much softer pace, say 200K a year as opposed to 810K a year. There is absolutely no need, unless you are hiding something, that you are building reserve for something that you haven't disclosed yet. But with the current disclosure, there is no need to rebuild the reserve at the pace you are trying to rebuild, because the reserve will go to 2.2 million and you need only 800K. All right, thank you. I guess I ran out of my time.
Can we just hold all applause so that we can hear the speakers, because we can't do that while everybody's clapping. So we would like to hear what they have to say. So if you want to just hold it until.
Good evening, Chrissy Skirby, 21 Preakness
Yes, we are
Drive.
here to listen to the community. We cannot hear from the microphones if everybody's clapping. We can't hear the clapping and the person speaking. So if you can hold your applause to the end of the speaker's turn, that would be appreciated. Please go ahead.
Chrissy Skirby, 21 Preakness Drive. I was here for the preliminary budget as well as the final budget adoption. And that night, it was very confusing as to what was being cut, since nothing had been proposed previously to be cut. I asked about cuts, and I was told that I had to contact the business administrator, that he couldn't answer my questions that evening. I've sent emails, which went unanswered, and then I sent an Oprah. On May 23rd, 2019, I received an answer to my Oprah request, which had a list of final committee recommendations, budget modifications. It was 21 items. On that list was the sports and the clubs pay to participate. If that is not cut from the budget, can you also indicate what else on this list of 21 is not cut from the budget?
I mentioned a few before. I do not have that list in front of me.
Okay.
So there was.
Is the freshman orientation cut, or will that take place this summer?
The freshman orientation has been eliminated.
Completely.
Yes.
So we're not allowing our freshmen to come and tour the building prior to September like has been done every year.
Our 8th grade students from our middle school and GMB have an 8th grade orientation.
They come before that.
Yes, they
yeah.
did. I believe it was in February.
In February, I attended that. Every single door in this building was locked. Every light was off. There were absolutely no staff taking any parent or any student through this building and giving any sort of a tour. What we all told our children that evening was wait till the summer when you go for a proper orientation. And now that's not occurring. That's a disgrace to this district and to our incoming freshmen. And again, I was here for both of those meetings. Never were these discussed out publicly with anybody. You had a public hearing on the final budget adoption, yet nobody knew any of these were up for cuts. That's terrible. But But then tonight on the agenda, we see that we have contracts up for approval. So last month, we're cutting things that make a difference in the students' lives. We're not having orientation. We're not having buses so students can stay after and take tests so that they can have opportunities to participate in clubs that will help them get into better colleges. Yet you're proposing tonight to give yet another raise to our business administrator, which will bring his salary up to $211,000. That is a disgrace when you're cutting from our children to give further increases to administrative salaries. That's absolutely ludicrous that we're doing that this evening. I'd like to know, can you answer, is there any pending litigation on the business administrator?
That would be a confidential personnel matter.
No, that speaks volumes. There is. I hope that this board, before you vote tonight to give yet another raise to our business administrator, consider what you're doing. We know there is pending litigation, and that should be, any type of a raise or contract negotiation should be pending until that is settled.
Roger Meany, 22 Harrigan Avenue. Madam President, you spoke about the Woodland neighborhood and you said crossing guards. There is one crossing guard, Spotswood Englishtown Road and Clayton Road. Up until 2 months ago, I said this person sat in the back lot of the church and never got out of their car. 4 weeks later, they were out front sitting in their car. After I said it again, now they stand outside that it's warm out. We have one crossing guard, okay, for Woodland. None of those roads have sidewalks. I explained last month that the state mandates, does not request, but mandates courtesy busing when that criteria is not met. I sent the link to Mr. Gorski. I was out of town. He asked me to come into his office. I just got back into town and I'm playing catch up on being out of town. But it was stated in the documentation that I sent to Mr. Gorski that since the state mandates the courtesy busing be put into effect if certain criteria is met, which it is met in the Woodland area. I can't speak so much about the other side because I don't live over there, but from what I can see, it fits the criteria too, just on the traffic itself, okay? The state will bear the expense, okay? None of the roads on Monmouth Road are striped for pedestrian crossing. We have no crossing guards on Monmouth Road, but if you go to Mill Lake, when they're getting out, they got 5 crossing guards, okay? And yet we're gonna pay our board attorney here $193,000 a year when they sub out 80% of the work. And then the business administrator who does a public presentation of the budget and every question that we asked was, well, you'll have to come to my office for the answer. And we're supposed to accept this. Cutting the courtesy busing is a violation of state law. If you do it, I am gonna seek to get a slew of signatures, okay? And file a class action lawsuit. You're devaluing us, you're devaluing our property, you're devaluing our neighborhoods. You say you want safety for the children, provide the busing.
Hello, good evening everyone. My name is Jyoti and I'm coming from 5
Can
Whitson Lane.
you put the mic down a little bit?
I'm Jyoti. I'm from 5 Whitson Lane, and I'm from one of the communities that is affected. Monroe Chase, Stratford Meadows, and Crossings at Monroe. These are the 4 communities we have been meeting every single day for a couple of hours, brainstorming and trying to come up with the options. One of the options you already heard about the subscription busing, and then we have been trying to look at all the details, and then try to look at all the board meetings, gather details from Facebook, try to put everything together. So here are a few pointers that we all discussed as a community. We heard that the buses are cut because there is only 50% occupancy. Is that right? If it's only 50% occupancy, why should we cut 6 buses? Can we decrease it to 3 and then still provide the service? And why do we have only 50? Where did we get the statistics from? Who gathered it? Can we get another statistics from the school? Who are the kids who's been picked up by the parents? And who is dropping them off? And then maybe there are only 50% of the kids who need busing. So rather than having the busing for 250 children, you might be able to provide for 125 at half the cost. That's our first point. Next one is, there is construction going on in some of the areas of the communities where the bus is cut. And kids can't go, they can't walk, and there are no sidewalks. This has all been discussed as a team. There are a couple of major accidents that happened on Applegarth Road, right outside the school, and probably like 0.1 to 0.2 miles away in the last 3 to 6 months. And it's not because the car was going in the same direction, but the car actually turned around and then it came in the opposite direction, and then there was one fatal accident. And we can send our kids with a speed limit, which is like 45 to 35 miles an hour, trying to walk or by drive. And there are like 250 kids. If we walk or if we drive, there'll be every parent who'll be dropping the kids off at the school. Imagine that somebody said it's going to take around 40 to 45 minutes every single day. Every single time we walk from the house to the school. So consider that, and also another 20 to 25 minutes to drop a child or to pick up a kid, because we have to show our ID, it has to be, security check has to be done, only then the kid will be released. So we are talking about close to an hour every single time we either drop the kid or we pick up the kid from the school. There's a lot of traffic on Applegarth and Station Road intersection. Too many houses, too much congestion, and too much traffic jam. And that's a busy hour. It's not just the parents who are coming to drop the kids or pick them up are going to be there, but also people who are traveling, who are going to work, who are coming back from work, will also be there in that busy hours. So how do you account for that? And at the same time, we are trying to save the money by cutting down the buses, but we should also account for the cross guards, the security people at the school, and maybe you might need more staff members at the school, at Oak Tree, where people are there to accommodate 10 to 20 parents at the same time, trying to get them around, get them out of the school. So what is it that we can do? We are all here to find a solution. We understand there is an issue with the budget. But what is it that we can do collectively and come up with a solution which is going to make sure that the kids are safe and give some, so we can take away this pain point from the parents, from the residents?
We have tasked the administration to look into different areas that could possibly work, and they will come up with recommendations to the Board of Education to see if they could or if they could not work for the September school year.
And I would have appreciated if
the timer has just gone off.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Pradeep. I live in 4 Jake Place. Friends, I'll pause. If you want to applaud, you can pause. I'll stop.
Excuse me, can you speak into the microphone to us?
Yes. Friends, when I pause, you can applaud. I will stop when you're applauding so that they won't miss a beat. Okay. My question to BOE, especially the finance committee, is how much money are owed by Jamesburg?
Excuse me, how much money do we get by Jamesburg?
No, how much money still owe by Jamesburg?
Is owed by Jamesburg?
Yeah.
I do not have that offhand, but they are paying their portion of their arrearages. In fact, they're overpaying their portion of the arrearages for the last 2 years. So they're ahead of schedule.
They are ahead of schedule?
They're ahead of schedule and paying off what they owe to Monroe.
Okay.
Yes.
May I elaborate on that briefly?
Do you really want to, or let him speak?
I think it would add some context to the gentleman's question. Jamesburg, beg your pardon, Jamesburg is overpaying their budgeted tuition every year. They're paying more tuition than their actual charge. And that overpayment is being applied consistently against what they owe Monroe, and that balance has been steadily decreasing from about 1.9 million to, I believe off the top of my head, it's about 1.6 now. And it is in line with the conditions of the agreement for satisfaction within that time period.
So that means if Jamesburg don't want to send their kids here, we owe them extra money back.
The state mandates that
yes.
Jamesburg students come here indefinitely for high school students on a tuition basis.
Okay, so that is another deficit over there. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vishal Mehta. I'm on 42 Green Ash Street in Stratford. First, let me start by saying that my talking here may not make any decision changes. The busing may just remain the issue, just remain as it is. But we have a lot of future politicians, all the young kids here. Look at them. They will be future politicians of the United States. They are here, they're missing their daily activities right now. Someone could be doing their homework, someone can be in some karate class or something, but they are here because the distinguished board members decided to do so. They are here because you decided to cut the busing from the 4 communities that other speaker just mentioned. While I was coming here, my son was with me in the car. He goes to 2nd grade in Oak Tree. And he was asking me, Daddy, why are we going there? And I said, because there is a vote on pay raise for some of the board members and BA. And he said, why pay raise? We are cutting the busing and we are giving the pay raise. I said, don't talk, you are just 2nd grader. They are smarter than the 2nd graders. All right, so you have no rights to talk. I told my son that. The other thing he said, that if I'm walking to the school, what if there is some bad guy following me? What if someone kidnaps some kid? I said, no, I'm your parent. Board of Education are not your parents. They don't care about you, right? I have to care about you. They are just worried about their own self, so that's it. You don't worry about that. I'll take care of you. I'll drop you up. I'll pick you up. I'll make sure you don't walk. And he said, but if I walk someday, say if you're running late from work, I work in the city, so if I'm running late from work, someday I have to walk. And I said, good luck with that. You will have to walk someday. Depends on the traffic and everything, right? So he said, that is crazy. A 2nd grader summed it up. That is crazy, right? I said, yes. And he said, they are crazy. I said, yes, all the Board of Education members are crazy. He said that they're crazy. It's not my words. I don't have to say anything else. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Ravi from 113 Morgan Way. I am from Stratford Meadows community. I'm also here to talk about the courtesy buses being cut from Stratford Meadows to Oak Tree. I'm here as a father of a 5-year-old daughter who is going to start going to kindergarten this September. And this is the worst news one can expect. What I've been hearing so far is that only selected few courtesy buses have been cut off this year, not all of them across the district. That baffles me. I don't understand. Okay, you gave a reason saying that someone has done some analysis based on safety and where there are direct routes or sidewalks to the school from these communities, and they deem it to be safe. Well, I can assure you, and each and everyone over here can assure you, none of those routes are safe. I don't know who did the analysis, how they came up to that conclusion, but none of the routes are safe. I took the route myself today. There are no sidewalks for 50% of the route from Stratford Meadows to Oak Tree School. And on top of that, there is construction going on of single-family homes where you expect large volume of trucks, minivans, cars going in and out all through the day. Do you expect kids between 5 and 9 years to walk that route every day? I would like each and every board member to take that route only once and give their feedback, if this is really feasible or not. I personally took pictures of the route where there are no sideways, where there is construction going on, and I have sent it today to each and every board member. I hope you guys take a look and put a thought to it. Is this really worth? Is this $200,000 or $300,000 that you're saving of these buses? Is it really worth? Okay. The other thing is, we have been talking about subscription buses. We are ready to pay, to get this going. But all we are hearing is it needs to follow a process. It needs to take some time. It may not happen this September. Okay, wait. So are we saying that we are ready to face a major incident to happen and then we'll think about it? So why wasn't this thought about it before, putting this into budget that, we are going to take off the buses? Why the administration didn't come up with a plan B saying that if we take these buses off, this is the plan B, this is the subscription that we can provide to the parents, this is the option we can give to the parents? Why was never that option put down on the table, to the parents or, to the BOE? I don't know if it was put forward or not to you guys. So I really hope you guys as a team consider this, all these safety concerns that all of us here are to talk about, and really put your thoughts into mind that, the kids that are affected are between 5 and 9. These are not middle school kids, these are not high school kids who can at least walk a mile and a half. These are 5 and 9-year-old kids. You cannot expect them to walk a mile and a half every day to school. That's it.
Hi, my name is Anant Madabushi, 13 Charles Place. I want to talk about two things: safety. You had mentioned that somebody actually walked to make sure there are sidewalks and it is safe. I hope they didn't walk in this nice 75-degree weather and stroll through it. Take a walk when there is winter and there is snow, and internally, maybe in the community, the snow is cleared but not outside. There were 2 fatalities that happened recently on these roads. There is a lawsuit waiting to happen. If something happens to some kid, I can guarantee that there will be lawsuits coming, right? So we don't want to take that risk. Second, with regards to the budget cuts, you had mentioned that, there were some administrative costs that have increased in terms of salaries. So why didn't you look inward to first take a look at what administrative costs in terms of salaries can be cut before looking at other options? I hope before you go to bed tonight, you think about the safety of the kids that are going to walk, and if something is going to happen to them this winter, it will be on you.
Good evening, all. My name's Audrey Chen. I'm from 5 Driftwood Court. Now, I've been in quite a few clubs throughout my high school career. Some of my friends told me it was a waste of time. Some told me it was only good for the college credit. But I can tell you without a doubt that I have learned several life skills in those very clubs that no single school class could provide me with. Take, for example, Youth in Government. This program allows students to actually reenact the bill-making process and exposes students to the political world around them, the political world that they will one day enter. We become prepared for the future and how to fulfill our roles as American citizens. Additionally, leadership experience in clubs is something invaluable to students like me that I have gained from the robotics club. As secretary of that club, I have learned so much about taking responsibility and doing what others do not want to do. Taking the initiative, being reliable, and leading creatively. All these skills are necessary for adults to succeed, so why not let students gain them ahead of schedule? Why not let students maximize their potential and grow in more ways than we thought possible? I know many of my friends' parents work very late to support their families, and they rely on late buses to get their children home safely. And we can see how much buses affect club attendance. On Wednesdays, when there is no after-school buses, many clubs report half their attendance compared to Tuesdays when there is busing available. There's no denying how crucial it is we keep the late buses. Eliminating this necessary service is closing off opportunity to many eager, ambitious students like myself who simply cannot afford to stay after school without a means of going home. Additionally, many students have to take makeup tests in after-school testing centers due to sports, field trips, and illnesses. Sports are something that many students dedicate their entire lives to and rely on to get into college. And illnesses are unavoidable. If they can no longer stay after, their grades will irrecoverably plummet, and with no excuse. Safety and the future of our students should be this board's #1 priority. Now, I want to ask, how many of you out there have children, nieces, nephews, or even grandchildren? Do you not wish to see the best version of themselves? Do you not want them to have an edge in college and future academic adventures, in internships, in jobs, in their social impact? You may think that after-school buses are a luxury, but in reality, this proposal is an attack on equality. The disadvantaged will not have the same opportunities they once had to participate in enriching activities and truly push themselves to the limit. The excluded will feel left out and behind other students with their resumes. The concerned 9th grader will feel guilty each time asking his parents to drive out of their way from work to pick him up. Think not of the now, but of the future of these very bright, ambitious, and hardworking students. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Good evening. This is Santosh from Stratford Meadows. I want to raise 2 points here. I know this courtesy bus is being cut. You guys have already planned. You have already done. Okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah. So I know you guys already planned, already cut. Everything is done. We don't have any options. But as a parent, we are really boiling up to the bottom of our heart because the main thing concern is safety and hazardness. As a safety and hazardness, raised cup.
Want to start him again, Mike? Tell him.
He started at 3:30.
Hello? Can you hear me, guys? Yeah, I'm raising 2 points here, safety and hazardness. So we have already raised a couple of people, like we don't have a side walkway. And we need to come to the side walkway, and first of all, it's like 0.7 miles to come to, at least to walkway condition. And especially when it comes to a snow or any kind of stuff, we had a couple of fatal accidents there, just because we slipped and a lot of things can't happen there. So this kind of hazardness, I'm not sure if you guys have to take a decision, please come in the winter, walk with your kid or with your family till school, then take the decision. So this is really just taking decision because of budget. Please, safety is more important than budget. See the options. Let's have options, what options we have. Make a committee, we all join. So it's community, it's board of education, nothing but we are made of it together. So I want each one of you to see the options, what we have. Currently, we are really getting to the bottom of our requesting you to get the solution, and we see whether subscription buses or whatever, come with a solution, we can really work together. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Ram. I live in Morgan Way, Stratford Meadows, and he's my son, Surya. He's 4 years old, and he'll be 5 next year, and he'll be going to the elementary school next year. Just picture himself, 100 kids of his age, walking the pathway for, 2 miles every day, right? And I happened to see the video of the BOE meeting last time, right? And Mr. Andy mentioned, he did his due diligence. He walked 2 miles from the father's home in Stratford and was okay. But you cannot compare yourself with kids, right? Walking 2 miles a day. Walking 2 miles a day, it's good for you, good for me, but not for kids, right? So I request the board, please consider the kid's safety before you make any decision. This kid, right, he doesn't know anything. I mean, last week he almost lost his finger. He was playing with the grill, he lost his finger, almost he lost his finger. I spoke to him for several minutes, and again the guy was placing the grill again, because the kids of his age doesn't know the consequence, right? They don't know how to read the road signals, and we have lots of trucks. It's almost like several trucks. You can drive in the station road, the Cranberry Station Road, and the Applegarth Road. There are lots of vehicles. It's almost like putting our kids at risk, knowingly. Right? And picture himself, walking 100 kids in snow, rain, as everyone mentioned, with 5 pounds of books, water bottle, whatever. Right? So I request the board, and we are everyone with you, so please do the needful. Thank you. One thing. What do you need?
I want school bus to go to school.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ajit Kondapalli, 12 Hastings Lane, Monroe Chase. You've already heard about all the reasons for reinstating school buses. I'm not going to repeat myself on that. My concern is mainly around subscription busing. So as I understand, subscription busing is not ready yet, right? So I have two concerns around this. Why did the board make the decision to scrap buses without having a fallback plan? That's one. And second is, can you at least look at options of providing courtesy busing, at least till we have an affordable subscription offering, till you at least have a plan around that? Because there's no, there's no point, having just scrap the buses without having a subscription plan. I hope somebody answers this question.
We're looking at everything. We're looking at subscription busing. We're looking at different options that we could implement. We're looking at restoring some of the bus routes, but everything is on the table. We hope to have some kind of solution that would be fair to everybody.
Okay, so do you have any timelines around this? When are you going to get back?
Well, I think they've already started doing some research, so it's going to take a little bit. It's not going to happen in a day or a week. It's going to take a little bit of time to investigate different options and different what other different towns do with their courtesy busing, and working with the Director of Transportation and the Director of Security.
Okay, thank you.
Ghazala Bora, 1 Miko Drive. I want to start by thanking people standing behind me who let me come in the front so I could get back home in time to break my fast. I want to ask all you people sitting, all the board members sitting out there, that do you realize that there's something terribly, terribly wrong with this picture, that within 10 months, this room is full of people screaming for their kids' safety. 10 months ago, we did that for the middle school trailers. 10 months ago, we came here and said those trailers are unsafe. There was so many arguments. The president said you guys were not involved. All this was told to you before. End of the day, that problem got fixed. The trailers are now safe. They are way better than they would have been had we not filled the room like this. Now we are talking about 7 and 8-year-olds walking 30 minutes one way to school, while at the same time, on the agenda today is increasing the salary of the highest paid business administrator in this district. Is there something wrong with this picture or not? I have been very polite when I normally come up to the microphone, but today I'm sorry, I am losing all politeness in me because there's something terribly wrong with this picture. How can we, within 2 meetings, cut such programs and in the second meeting put on the agenda and increase to the salary of a business administrator, and it is public knowledge that there is a litigation against him. And it is public knowledge that the previous board did not renew his contract, and as soon as it came to vote with the new board, without discussion, it was approved with a retroactive salary increase. We're okay about that as long as you don't cut buses for 8-year-old kids. We're okay as long as you give my son a high school orientation, because I'm sorry, the one on February was not an orientation. Classrooms were closed. It was a waste of time of most of the parents who were in this building that night. Nobody walked out saying, oh, I know where my kid is going. Nobody. That orientation in the summer is critical. Do you know how many kids are lost when they walk into this building, and parents? So we can go do away with that without a second thought, without trying to find out, can volunteers run this program at no cost to the district? Was that even considered? No. There are towns around us that do town halls for such decisions. How can we cut buses to elementary school kids, expect the parents to pick the tab on that, expect the kids to walk 30 to 35 minutes, but not do a town hall before that? What respect do we have for the taxpayers here? None. And to say that there's something on Facebook and you should not listen to it, well, if you're on Facebook, you should refute it. You should say this program has not been cut. That documentation needs to be available. Well, our source of information, a lot of times, because of lack of transparency of this board, time and again, lack of transparency of this board has been people who attend these meetings, the videos of these meetings, and Facebook, yes. So if you think there is wrong information being circulated, please do your duty as a citizen and correct it out there. And we will be obliged. Thank you very much.
My name is Bhavesh Patel, 8 Morgan Way, and I'm from Stratford Meadows Townhouse community. I'm here to talk about the courtesy busing that is being cut starting from September. First of all, let me tell you that Stratford Meadows doesn't even have walkways. So I'm not sure like how this decision was even taken. And I'm pretty sure that the board has not done its due diligence, and I'm pretty sure even the transportation department might not have taken full round of our community to see how unsafe and how much like it could be a major safety concern for the small kids walking in our community. And let me just explain one more thing is here. Let's take one scenario. A parent having 2 kids, one is in 2nd grade, another is in 4th grade. So what does the Board of Education is expecting a parent that they should drop their 4th grader by, they should drop this 2nd grader by car while leaving the 4th grader at the bus stop. And we don't even know whether the bus will come on time or how they are going to make it. So is it like safe for leaving that 4th grader at the bus stop, since because the busing for Applegarth is still there, but not for the Oak Tree? And similarly, in the afternoon, the parent will be picking up one child, whereas the other child will be taking bus to the school, to the home. And it is quite possible that the parent might not reach home or the bus stop before the bus reaches with that second child and dropping that second child. So I'm pretty sure that the Board of Education has not thought about it, and they should have thought about this kind of scenarios, because these 2 schools are facing each other, and it is very likely that one child is in Oak Tree and other child is in Applegarth. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bala Satyamurthy. I'm coming from Stratford Meadows. I'm sure you guys are aware what is happening in this world. I'm just reading, and a security event happened in your neighboring township on 5/23. And approximately 6:55 hours, an unknown white male approached a 12-year-old female, asked if he could give a ride and drop her off as she waited for her school bus. The female declined the ride, and the male drove off. So this is the decision that the 12-year-old can make, but unfortunately, I don't know if any of the 5-year-old or 6-year-old can make. This is a situation where the bus, this is just at a place where the student was waiting for a bus, and we are talking about 5 and 8-year-olds walking 2 miles. God forbid if something happens, is there anybody in this room will take a direct responsibility? And if you guys say, I can take the responsibility, is it worth the risk of like $200,000 for the future of our kids? I hope you guys can sleep well tonight. Thank you.
Hi, I'm getting last minute instructions here. My name is Jana Escobedo. I'm at 14 Rosewood Lane. We're pretty new to the district. We came from East Brunswick. I'm here to mainly talk about the courtesy busing for after-school high school students. I believe that if it's a safety issue, then we need to consider the stressful environment that kids have at school, especially my honors kids and several of the honors kids. They don't have time for the extracurricular activities during the day. My child, barely gets to take one elective, and even then they're encouraged to take an elective that'll look good on your school transcript. So one thing that we're really glossing over is the suicide prevention of getting to know somebody. They have 30-minute lunches, then they're in classes all day, and then they go home and maybe they have one or two friends and they're like this, you see the back of their heads. But when they're in clubs, they are talking to each other, they're interacting with each other, they're coming up with ways, my kids are in clubs to prevent bullying, to make the school a better place. They've given presentations to the teachers about how to have inclusiveness in the classroom. So this is stuff that can't be taught in the classroom, and this is stuff that is just vital for their mental health. Also, I needed to bring up a point that I think has already been brought up a little bit, that if athletic buses can be paid for, then the after-school buses for clubs can be paid for. So the amount saved by cutting after-school busing apparently is $68,250. The amount of capital allocated for new high school bleachers is $67,000. So the amount of money saved through shared services by sharing route costs for busing through jointures, I can't even read that, with other school districts is $98,000. There is currently a statewide bus driver shortage, so the district is trying to attract bus drivers. Transportation received the largest financial cut of all instructional divisions at the difference of more than $270,000 from last year. So this is some information that I was just given. So I just think that if we're talking about safety, we're talking about little kids' safety, getting to school without getting hit by a car or construction vehicle. We really have to think of the high school kids' safety by making friendships, making connections, being allowed to explore their broader selves. Thank you.
Before we start with the next person, because of time constraints and the fact that the board has a lot of business to discuss today, we're going to close public forum at 8:30. We understand your concerns. We are willing to look at your issues. We have heard from you tonight. We've heard from you in the past. But at 8:30, the board really has to get to their part of the agenda that we need to do. Can we please have the speaker please speak?
Hi, Deborah Palella, 15 Louise Lane. I've been up here before, so I should look familiar. I know everyone is discussing the busing, and I don't need, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I don't need to beat that, but to go off of what the student Audrey said and the woman Janet that was just here said, a very important aspect of something that I've heard you guys talk about before are rankings, our state rankings, how we look. And if we cut after-school busing for these children who do extracurricular activities, their applications will look worse. Our overall school district will look worse because our offerings will not be the same because not as many children can participate. So by voiding that out for children that cannot get transportation home, we're either going to have kids who are going to be loitering on school property, won't get home, will Uber because they need to, and the issue is, for me, is I'm able to get my kids now, but for some reason I couldn't, and I know there are plenty of children that can't get picked up. that busing is crucial to these students being part of a school when they don't participate in a sport. Maybe it's the chess club, maybe it's the ping pong club. They are part of something, and that's really an important part of what high school is about. And for them to just feel included in something may be a difference in this kid's overall outlook, not just an application in school, but suicide rates, in interaction, in depression. I think it all goes, I know there's plenty of research that supports it, so I just wanted to mention the whole part about the busing one more time and about a well-rounded student and our overall rankings. I know we've talked about that before. In the past, I guess, because now I have an 8th grader, I'm curious if there is an average of how many incoming 9th graders leave Monroe District to go to private school. I was wondering if there's an average for that. The reason I ask is because I'm new to this year, and I'm surprised at how many students I know of that are leaving the district for that. I didn't know if that was a number that's a common knowledge.
Yeah, the exact percentage I don't have in front of me. It would be statistically untrue to say a large number of students do that. We get projected enrollments from both middle schools, and they're pretty much on target each year.
What are both middle schools?
Jamesburg.
Okay. And Monroe, so they're pretty on target, but there's no way to know that, for example, over the course of the last 5 years, 10 children went to private school, and then in 5 years later, 20 are.
Some of the students from Monroe Township Middle School do take advantage, and it's on a very select criteria. Some of the academies that are available in Middlesex County.
Very familiar.
But very high, large percentage, most of our students from Jamesburg and the middle school attend Monroe Township High School.
Yes, that I understand. I was just curious if there's any sort of back information of how many years, does it go back to see how many students are leaving the district?
We wouldn't keep a statistic like that. It's so nominal that it really doesn't impact us.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. I'm sure you heard the parents today, what they said, and we are not going to wait till September for your decision. I request that take the decision by coming June meeting, June 19th. We expect the decision on this by June 19th. That is the request. Second point I want to make to public and Board of Education. State funding for our transportation is not adequate. You guys would have gone and sued the state because they are not given adequate funding for transportation. Instead of that, you are impacting children and parents. Okay? Where we stand with respect to the state funding. You fight for the state funding, get adequate state funding. They are supposed to give us $8 million for last 10 years. They are giving less, and now we are cutting all the things. That is not acceptable. The next point is the Middlesex County is telling us to cut the courtesy busing. Who are them? We are paying the tax, not the Middlesex County is paying anything for us. The government is not paying, we are paying the premium tax. Tell that lady or man to walk 2 miles from their parking lot before telling us cut the courtesy busing. This is not acceptable. Overcrowding of the school is a problem. Underfunding is a problem. Think of that. Special education not funded properly. We have to stand and sue the state. Jamesburg sued the state. The governor came and talked to them. We don't have to be scared that if we sue the state, legislatures or governor will be angry with us. No, they will not be. And then I heard, oh, we have to give back money to seniors. Okay, I'm a senior too. Just giving $5 a year back, reduction in tax. Per year. You cannot even buy Starbucks coffee there. And cutting, it would have given us $250,000, okay, and taken care of this. So I request again, everything can be changed. It is in your hand. You can amend the budget. and amend the budget, get back. We all clapped when Gorski did the first presentation in March, thinking we all went happy. Then came in April, I was not there because I was sick. I heard we are giving back $5 and all these cuts. You know, I don't want to go. I tell you today, I have to move this. I feel sorry. 3.5% raises all across. 3.5. Inflation rate is 2%. Yeah, 3.5. Okay, the union asked 3%. Give the union 3% teaching staff. Non-teaching staff, inflation rate is 2%, then the average, I'm talking about average increase should be only 2%, and the administrative, non-teaching people who are called managers, directors, VPs, they should be increased in salary depending on performance, not just blank check. So I request, Madam President and the BOE members, that June 19th, please come and give recommendations so we all will be happy. We'll go to our summer vacation. Thank you very much.
My name is Tanvi Desai. I live at 29 Orchard Grove. I live in Stratford, which is one of the communities that are affected by the strongly, in my belief, irresponsible cuts that were made by the Board of Ed, except one person, Ken Chiarella, who said no. I am really, really concerned. I have been here in the town for 9 years, and it's the first time I'm coming here to speak as a Board of Ed, in front of a Board of Ed meeting, which is sad on my part, but I'm here today. I'm worried that the cuts that you have made affects a large number of students across the town. The middle school students, the after-school clubs, the high school students, all of the busing cuts that are happening for the little kids. I have a 7-year-old who bikes 2 to 3 miles daily. She's running a 5K race on Sunday, all right? She was not able to bike to the school, 2 miles. 2 miles is what you say. One of you told in the Board of Ed meeting on tape that day that you took a walk along with some people in Stratford in the area to find out if there was walkable distances. Did you walk to Oak Tree? Did you walk at 8 o'clock in the morning? Do you walk in the shoes of a 7-year-old? No, you don't. So you do not have the right to make these cuts without information. One of you board of members specifically said that she would consider a no vote if she had more information related to the effects of these cuts. That hasn't happened yet. We are requesting you, we are asking you to make a motion, if one of you has a conscience, to please make a motion to overthrow all of these cuts that are affecting our kids. And it is so shameful that on the agenda today, you have voting for the business administrator who is getting a raise, where in front of a room full of people who are affected by your cuts. In the last meeting, just the next month, last month was the cuts, and this month we are here trying to vote on a raise for Mr. Gorski. I think you should be very, very ashamed. I hope you can all sleep. That is all I'm going to say. And last question that I have for you guys. Are you working with the township, with the parents, to provide barriers on Station Road, on Applegarth Road, on the streets in Woodland? Because guess what? There was a fatal accident just last month. There have been many, many accidents all over Applegarth. People have died. Well, I don't want to lose my kid. I don't think anybody else wants to hear to lose their kids either. So let's be responsible. We want to know by the next board meeting what your plan is. Well, in fact, we want you to reinstate all the cuts that you decided to do. $200,000 is the value of our kids' lives. Really, I think you should be so ashamed of yourself. Thank you very much. Good night.
So I don't have any serious question. I want to ask the serious question in a fun way. This is especially for newly elected people because...
Oh, could you please give me your name and address for the record?
I'm Vishwanatha Potapu, 47 Green Ash Street. I want to ask the question fun way with a serious question. This question especially for the newly elected people, because I'm the one of the person who is voted for those guys who is elected. So are you guys happy to cut the buses? This question is especially for newly elected people.
They do not have to answer at this time.
Thank you, no problem. Is anyone here who are sitting here in the chair, those kids are going in the public school now? Any of you guys are dropping your kid in the school on traffic? I'm seriously, we are totally disappointed. We are voted. We have a chance again. We're going to select the right person next time. Make sure you guys make her happy. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mary Ashalata, and I'm from 91 Morgan Way. I'm also here to represent my community and the other 3 communities that have been affected because of the courtesy buses which have been cut. I just want to stress on the safety issue, and I can't stress enough to say that it is absolutely unsafe for the children to walk to school, walk 2 miles to school, and especially from the Stratford Meadows area, there is no sidewalk. Even today, for the past 2-3 years, every parent in Stratford Meadows drop their children to the bus stop. It is not safe for our children even to go till the bus stop. We pick up our children, we drop our children from the bus stop and home because it's not safe. And if we are not able to go, we tell a neighbor or someone because that road is not safe. And even if the children were to navigate out and come out of Stratford Meadows, when they turn right, the construction is still going on in Stratford, the single family homes. And even if they were to navigate that and still cross ahead and come to Halsey Street Road, even there the construction is still going on. And when I drop my kids and when we drive on that road, we are driving with such care because we don't know what is coming next. So for adults, if it is so hard, I just want to give you an idea. This is the child. Next year, you expect her to walk. Just tell her, go to school. She doesn't want to go to preschool here. She attends the Falcon's Nest here. She doesn't want to come. She's scared. And next year, by this time, I have to tell her, put a backpack on her and say, okay, go to school.
Could you please use...
She will not go to school. She will not go to school. And so this is the Board of Education. I understand the budget constraints. I understand all of it. We all understand that. But somehow, somewhere, something is missing. Something has to be done. We have to work together. And we have to come to a safe way of transporting, because if the Board of Education is not about education, how the kids are able to reach that education. There is a gap here. And we have to fill that gap. And we have to think together. We just cannot say, the law says so, this is what it is, this is the budget, where do I get these millions, what do I do? We are all parents, we are all responsible community members, we are all well educated, everything. And all we want right now, this whole group here wants just the safety. We cannot wait for a casualty to happen. We cannot wait for something bad to happen and then say, you know what, let's think about it. Because everything is open in front of you. There's nothing that you have to rethink later on. The roads are there, the roads will be getting stuck because of the traffic congestion. I drop my child to Applegarth for chorus. It takes me a long time after dropping him to come out and take a right turn, I have to wait a lot of time. I cannot take a left turn. I can go easily from the left and go through but I go all the way around because that's easier. So there is going to be congestion and all that, but all that is also can be dealt with. Congestion can be dealt with, anything can be dealt with the safety of this little girl and all her friends in the neighborhood, that cannot be compromised. Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
At this time, we have time for 2 more people because it will be 8:30. Yes, thank you.
I'll make it quick. Okay. My name is Pawan. I'm from 97 Morgan
Can you
Way.
please give your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Pawan, 97 Morgan Way. I'd like to raise a few points quickly. 50% occupancy, that's wrong. I dropped my kid, it's not 50%. Most of the buses are packed. That's the word, packed. Second, safety, I'm not going to talk about safety because everybody has talked about it enough. Of course, adults versus children. An adult walking is very different than a child walking. Somebody has to consider that difference a lot. It's a significant difference. I'll stay at walking. I travel to New York City every day. I get down at the bus stop near Monroe Chase. It's a stone's throw from Oak Tree School. I walk to my home in Morgan Way. It takes me not a second, less than 25 minutes. I don't know who's throwing the number out that the kids is going to take 30 minutes. I would like to see these kids. Who are these kids? These 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds that are taking 30 minutes to travel that distance when I hustle at 25 minutes for that distance. And I only walk a fraction of that distance. I'm not walking the entire distance. Secondly, there's construction going on. Lot of insects along the way. Lot of insects and whatnot crawling along the way. I got bitten by so many insects along the way, especially in spring and summer. What if these kids get bitten by a scorpion or a snake or something much more dangerous? Can their immune system cope with it? Not a chance. Thirdly, who can talk about abductions? We can talk about safety around the school. What if some kid gets abducted? Right? We cannot give them security all along the walkway. It's a 2-mile stretch. That's not possible. The saving that's happening is 0.001495 of the budget. That is, for every $100 we spend, we're saving almost a nickel and a dime. The saying that we're saving a nickel and a dime is not just a saying here. We're actually saving a nickel and a dime for every $100 spent just by the Board of Education. I find it tough to understand that of all the township's budget, we had to cut the courtesy busing just to save a nickel and a dime off the Board of Education's budget. That is really surprising. And last but not the least, I understand that legally you're entitled to cut the busing. Fair enough. But it's inappropriate. There's a difference between I can cut the line at Subway or Costco. People are not going to like that. Why? It's legal, but it's highly inappropriate. The courtesy busing being discontinued is unsafe, and I would say it's very inappropriate. It's like gifting a car, but sealing shut the gas tank. Kids just cannot reach the school. That's what it's going to be in the end. Thanks, guys.
Okay, you will be our last person at the public forum.
I'm sorry.
Please go ahead.
If you cannot wait 2 minutes or 5 minutes beyond 8:30, and you expect every parent to be waiting for their work every day throughout the year, I'm really surprised.
Madam President, this is Michelle Arminio. May I speak?
Not at this time, Michelle. We are in public forum.
Yes, but I would like
Michelle?
to go on record to say I believe that the public forum should not be concluded. We have had presentations and award ceremonies that
Thank
go
you,
way
thank
beyond
you,
8:30.
thank you, Michelle.
I'd
But
like it on the record.
at this time, we have other business to conduct after a public forum. So, Mr.
Krishna Dekale, 11 Jake
I would
Place.
just like it on the record then.
Thank you.
Krishna Dekale, 11 Jake Place. 2 things I wanted to bring out. I saw the list of cuts that have been published on Facebook, and you said that some of those cuts are not there. But none in the list point out to any administrative cuts, non-essential teaching staff or non-essential administrative staff. No cuts in administration. But what has been cut is the busing for the students, the clubs, some of the clubs have been cut, the high school orientation has been cut. So somehow we need to look at other avenues to cut rather than this courtesy busing that has been eliminated. Secondly, the question that I have is, did we go back and negotiate with other bus companies to see if they can provide the busing at reduced cost as opposed to what our current vendor is providing?
Well, a very small part of our budget is for out of district busing. So we do have a, Mike, maybe you can explain it better.
Yes.
We have a procedure we have to follow.
The majority of the busing is in-house now. We value that our in-house staff performs a better service than contracting.
Okay.
It's more reliable, it's safer, we understand the training that went involved, and I'll go on record to say that. We cannot meet all of our transportation needs in-house. We don't have the buses, we don't have the drivers, we don't have the resources, so we have to contract some of them out. It's probably about 10 to 15% of the services get contracted out. It's a public bidding service that goes through the Middlesex Ed Service Commission, and they put out a bid to our specifications with the route information, and then bus companies bid on it, and as the law requires, the lowest responsible bidder is awarded the contract. It's very difficult to break a contract, as I've mentioned before, if you get a lemon, if you get a bad contractor. The law allows a lot of remedies to be put in place before you sever a contract and go to another second lowest bidder, perhaps. So I hope that answered your question.
That helps. Thank you.
Okay. So at this time, we're going to close the public forum, and
Pete suggested take a recess, but make your statement first.
Okay, but before, we're closing public forum, but I'm going to ask if the administrators up here would work with the Director of Transportation, the Director of Security, the Director of Facilities, and the principal at Oak Tree School to come up with to see if there is a possible solution to resolve this busing issue and bring it to the BG&T committee meeting on June 11th.
Madam?
Yes.
Madam Board President, administration accepts that challenge, and I want to say we sincerely appreciate the comments tonight. We will take back everything that we heard tonight that's on tape and in notes back to the administration office, and we will seek aggressively a remedy to these cuts if one is recommended by the BG&T committee. So please leave tonight whenever you choose, and understand that you've been heard, and we have great sensitivity to your points made.
So at this time, could somebody make a motion for recess, a 10-minute recess?
I'd like to
make a motion
for recess.
For recess?
Not for recess, for something else.
Madam President?
At this time, we're going to make a motion for recess.
Yeah, but I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
We're
not.
Excuse me, sir. Sir,
I'm
one
sorry,
second.
but public
One
forum
second.
has been closed.
I'd like to make.
Madam President,
I'd like to make a motion that in lieu of all these people that showed up tonight. I mean, I've never seen anybody, this amount of people in the meeting, and I think that it's an overwhelming majority of people feel that it's not safe for their children to walk to school.
Mr. Chiarella, Mr. Tefano has the floor. Mr. Tefano, could you please repeat that?
I would like to make a motion that the board here does an emergency vote tonight to end taking away of buses, because it's not for the... I, for one, can say that I did do the walk that Andy did, and fat as I am, I couldn't do it. I also, one second. I also
Mr.
will admit,
Chiarella seconds the motion.
I will also admit that I'm a new board member, and I didn't realize with my yes vote how it would impact these people and their families. I also feel that the amount of money that we're saving is not worth any of those kids.
Mr. Pelori? Excuse me, but the public forum is closed. Mr. Pelori has the floor.
Madam President, fellow members and the public.
Wait, my motion wasn't answered.
Yes, it was.
No, but
You
can we
made
make a vote?
No, we're in discussion. You made a motion, Mr. Chiarella seconded that motion.
Okay.
May I, as I mentioned, I think some of them took my comment about walking the distance as something that I'm approving. I still said, if you go back to the tape, that it's not safe. So let me just say this. Over the last, can you please?
Excuse me.
Please, I understand the emotions are high. I fully understand it. And I also did not realize the
Let him finish. Let him finish talking. Let the man finish talking.
Mr. Pelori has the floor.
As I said, I did not even realize the impact the budget cuts would have, other than the fact that the 2-mile radius was something that state mandated. However, I was the only member who went to the community when they invited me to talk to them and understand. I wrote 3 pages.
Excuse me. All right. Mr. Pelori.
Ladies and gentlemen, folks, please, everyone take a deep breath. Let the board take their, sir, please, sir.
At this point of time,
Mr. Pelori.
At this point of time, guys, in all seriousness, there's 2 options. Either we stick with what we cut, or we change it, right? Let's talk about the change instead of getting emotional and accusing people. So what I suggest is,
Mr. Pelori, the suggestion would be, and the right way to do this would be to have the administration come up with a plan and bring it to the Board of Education that would be the correct way to do it. So at this time, we're going to take a vote.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
We know this is a hot button
Ladies and
topic.
gentlemen, please.
There is
Please allow the board to conduct their business. Mr. Kalapanowicz, thank you.
There is a process that the board has to follow. We just can't say yes to something. We have to go back. We have to have a plan in place. We have to look at the cuts that were made, and we have to evaluate them. It should be done by the committee system. But at this time, we'll have we have a motion, and we will vote on it. Mr. Gorski.
We have a motion on the floor made by Mr. Tefano, seconded by Mr. Chiarella. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Can you please hold the...
Please, maintain order for the meeting. Correct me if I'm wrong with the resolution, but it is to restore all transportation cuts made between the tentative budget and the final adoption.
Correct.
Okay, we will go to a vote.
Yes.
Mrs. Arminio. Mrs. Arminio. Mrs. Arminio, how do you vote, ma'am?
I'm abstaining.
Abstain. So noted. Mr. Chiarella.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo.
No.
Mrs. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Pelori.
I would suggest restoring all the school buses.
No, we're just voting on the motion, so it's yes or no.
I want to make...
It's a yes or no at this point. We're not changing the motion.
I'm going to make another motion. I would say no.
Okay.
Mr. Rybeck. No. I beg your pardon, Mrs. Siegel.
No.
Mr. Tefano.
Yes.
Mrs. Kolapanowicz.
No.
Madam Board President, motion fails.
And at this time, we're going to take a recess. Well, I need a motion for a recess because I think we need one.
I'll make a motion for a recess.
I'll second.
Mrs. Siegel, Ms. DeMayo, all in favor?
Aye.
We're going to take a 15-minute recess. Okay, at this time, the board will come back into public session. Ms. Pelori?
Madam President, I would like to make a motion. Based on what we heard today and some of the investigation and the conversations I had with the residents of Stratford and the areas around Oak Tree, I would like to make a motion to restore the courtesy busing to Oak Tree for the school year 2019 and 2020, and I request the administration to look into an amicable solution moving forward beyond that time frame.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Mrs. Lang, did you second that? Can we please... Can we please?
If
Ladies
you're going to
and
be
gentlemen,
quiet, you get your
please,
buses.
please.
Can we
you
please
have to
have
let-
quiet?
You have to let the board conduct its business, please.
Can you please?
Please.
Stand over in the back. Can we please?
Sir, there's a, excuse me,
No,
sir, there's a
this-
motion.
there's a
Mr.
mo-
Pelori's making a motion. Please allow the board to conduct their business. Please, please.
And so it was Mr. Pelori, second by Mrs. Lang. Any comments or questions?
I didn't hear the motion, I'm sorry.
Okay, Mr. Pelori, would you please repeat that?
Yes, I will. I would like to make a motion to restore the courtesy busing to and from Oak Tree School for the school year 2019 and 2020. A request to the administration to look up for an amicable solution between the residents for the long-term solution.
And it was second by Mrs. Lang.
That's just Stratford?
It's
No,
for,
everything to go to Oak Tree.
Madam, may I
Yes.
give an interpretation to that resolution? That is to restore transportation cuts to the Oak Tree area, including 3 communities. It's the crossing Stratford
And Stratford
and
Meadows.
Chase.
Monroe Chase.
Behind Oak
Right.
Tree, those were the ones affected by the cuts. And to direct administration to come up with a sensible solution to the late-run cuts that we will bring back to building grounds transportation.
That's correct.
any comments or questions?
Well,
Then we will have a roll call.
What about Woodland?
That's not part of the motion.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Mr. Pelori, will the Woodland consideration be that of administrations as part of the review with the late runs?
Unfortunately, I have to say that I haven't done the kind of due diligence I did with the Oak Tree, so I don't know. So I cannot speak for Woodland in terms of how many buses, how many students are impacted. So if anybody wants to amend my motion, you're more than welcome to do so.
Mr. Pelori, may I suggest you just consider directing administration not only to look at the 415 late runs, but the Woodland cuts as well as part of our deliberation?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I would like to amend his motion to include Woodland.
Excuse me, Mr. Tofano?
I would like to amend his motion to include Woodland.
Is there a second?
Is there a second?
I second.
I second.
Mr. Chiarella.
I'm confused. I'm sorry, I'm confused.
We should have just gone with the first motion and.
The first motion is for, guys,
Folks,
please help.
Please.
I'm going to have to ask
Folks,
everybody to
please.
leave if you
All right.
don't behave.
Please allow the board to conduct their
Guys,
business.
yeah, we're trying to do what's right, so help us out.
One step at a time, but everyone keeps yelling back at the board, and they can't even hear the motions.
We don't know what's
Please.
going on here because we can't hear.
Parents and residents, please allow the board to conduct their business.
The time
please.
for public
Thank you.
input has been over. It's now the time for the board to do its job.
So the motion is to restore all busing to and from Oak Tree for all the surrounding communities, and look into possibly what we could do that's amicable to the parents at Woodland and the after-school busing throughout the district.
And
That's what I
have
was proposing. Is that correct?
Well, what my amendment was to also add to and from to Woodland, and then also the after-school can be looked at afterwards.
And a matter of a point, Mr. Chiarella, I believe, seconded the amendment. Is that correct, Mr. Chiarella?
Yes, sir.
So we have to vote on the amendment.
Amendment comes first. That's a priority
Right.
motion now.
Ms. DeMayo?
I don't understand how that is different than what Peter said.
Because Peters included the 415 late
He
runs.
included
also.
all busing, and I think we really have to look at all busing before we,
So we're talking about giving back Oak Tree, but not giving back the 415 late run.
right.
And Woodland.
And Woodland. We're not giving back Woodland either.
We're asking the administration to look at Woodland and the 415 busing and come out to BG&T with a recommendation on June 11th.
Wait,
June 11th.
But we're giving back Oak Tree.
That's the motion Mr. Pelori
And my
made.
amendment was to give back Woodland as well.
So,
Well,
so
why doesn't the whole, we have the administration look at everything first?
That's the way it should be, but Mr. Pelori made a motion to give back the Oakland transportation.
Madam President, this is Michelle Arminio. May I speak?
Yes, Michelle?
Okay, I understand that if someone asks Mr. Pelori to amend his motion, that can be done.
It is.
It will be
It will be
Are you
done.
amending it, Mr. Pelori, to include Woodland?
Madam Board President, point of clarification, the amendment is a priority motion that has to get voted on to see if the original motion is modified or not. So we have to go to a vote. There's no deliberation on the amendment. So right now, we must vote on Mr. Tefano's amendment to Mr. Pelori's motion, including Woodland in the restoration of cuts and directing administration to look at the 415 late runs. So once again, the revised
So we're voting on the
motion-
amendment to the motion.
Yeah.
The amendment would include the restoration of the oak tree area cuts,
And Woodland.
the woodland cuts, and direct administration to study and report back to the board soon on the 415 late run cuts. That is what
No.
is being voted on.
That's not the amendment,
Yes.
sir. I thought the amendment.
Mr.
was-
Tefano concurs that is the amended motion.
So can we move on?
Okay, so let's just vote on the amendment. We're voting
correct.
on the amendment.
Repeat the amendment again.
The amendment is to add to Mr. Pelori's motion, thank you, that we add Woodland to the Oak Tree busing
Restoration.
So the
restoration.
only busing we're taking away is the 415 busing then?
Let's just vote on the amendment first, because we can't discuss anything else. We can only discuss we can't even discuss the amendment. We have to vote on the amendment. So the amendment is to add Woodland to Mr. Pelori's.
I think Jill just wants clarification
I
on
know, but
exactly what she's voting for.
We're voting
We're
on the
voting on the
amendment
amendment,
to.
not anything else right now.
Right.
We're voting on the amendment of Mr. Tefano to add Woodland to the Oak Tree restoration of busing.
So
Okay.
a
That's what
yes-
we're doing.
A yes simply changes the motion on the floor, including Woodland.
That's it.
Okay, so let's just vote on that.
Mrs. Arminio,
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella,
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo,
Yes.
Mrs. Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Pelori,
Yes.
Mr. Ryback,
Yes.
Mrs. Siegel,
Yes.
Mr. Tefano,
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Beg your pardon?
Yes.
So noted. The amendment has unanimously passed. Now the motion on the floor, as amended, is to restore the Oak Tree area transportation cuts, the Woodland area transportation cuts, and to direct administration to study the 415 late run cuts that are still in place, and to come back soon to BG&T committee with a resolution or a recommendation
By June 11th.
by the next public
By
meeting.
the next committee meeting.
Next committee.
Yes.
Okay, so now we will vote on that amended motion. Mr. Chiarella,
Yes.
Mrs. Siegel,
Yes.
Mrs. Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Pelori,
Yes.
Mr. Ryback, Mrs. Arminio,
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo,
Yes.
Mr. Tefano,
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, motion passes. Next agenda item.
Madam President, I just want to add to the community that we're also speaking to the legislators to see if there's any line item, $300,000 worth of transportation funding that they can be allocating to the school district. And also, we're talking to the Department of Education with the board president, and I will be attending a meeting with the new commissioner to see if we can get more funding for transportation to the district as well. If we were able to secure those funding, we'll definitely be able to do a much better job of restoring everything moving forward.
Right.
Just wanted to share that.
I'd also like to add something.
Mr. Tefano?
I'd also like to add something to the public, to say to the public. This, okay, I'm sorry. That's the first time somebody said they can't hear me. I just want everybody in the public to know, and I'm going to speak for myself, not for everybody on the board, but I can say to you that sometimes we have to make something that's a very unpopular choice, but not one person on this board hates your children. So when you come up here and say that to us, it's very disheartening to me. I think that was very rude, and whoever said that should really rethink how hard it is to be up here and helping as much as we can. Sometimes the best choice is not always the popular choice, but if people show up and voice their concerns, maybe we can think differently. So maybe show up more often.
And I just want to, add to what Mr. Tefano said, that there's nobody up here that is against kids or children. that's why we're here. We're all here because we want education. We want our kids to have the best that they could possibly have. We have children, many of our board members have children in the school system, and we want to do what's best for your kids. And unless you're sitting on this side of the table and you understand the processes that we have to go through, you don't understand how hard some of the decisions we have to make are. And I've said too before, it's going to get harder in the future when we're adding trailers, $1 million or $2 million of trailers down the road, and now we have to cut millions of dollars out of the budget. So, the things are not going to get easier. The decisions that the board is going to make is not going to be easier in the future. They're going to be harder. We do not want to cut. We do not want to cut programs. We do not want to cut staffing, because it's our staff and our teachers and the people who work in this district who do such a phenomenal job for our students. And we know we have phenomenal students in this district, and we want to keep it that way. So thank you for coming out. And at this time, the board is going to move on with its agenda, and we will go to the superintendent's report with Mr. Goodall.
Thank you, Mrs. Kalapanowicz. Good evening, everyone. Just have a brief report under our umbrella of engaging the school community, engaging the senior citizen community. Wanted to give a very special thank you to the staff at the Monroe Township Rec Department for continuing our annual senior and senior event with our high school students. Each year, our grade 12 students compete alongside our senior residents in heated games of bocce ball, shuffleboard, bowling, and pickleball. The rec department provides lunch for all of the competitors and award ceremony. Special thanks to Ms. Drust, Ms. Grimaldi, Ms. Profaci, Ms. Tringali from the high school, who organized our students in working with Rick, Al, and Norm from the rec department. This is a great event when we discuss how to engage our senior community. Well done by everyone once again. So it was a great event yesterday. We have a short list of personnel items. Madam Board President and members of the Board of Education, it is recommended that personnel action items A through E under the superintendent's report be approved by consent roll call.
So moved by Mr. Ryback. Second. Second by Mrs. Siegel. Any comments or questions for Mr. Goodall?
Madam President, Michelle Arminio.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, I just want to make sure that items D and E have stayed the same since Thursday's delivery of the
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Seeing none, we'll have a roll call. Mr. Gorski?
Mr. Tofano.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Pelori.
Yes.
Mr. Ryback.
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella.
Recuse on D and no on E.
Recuse on D, no on E, yes on everything else.
Yes.
So noted. Mrs. Siegel.
Yes.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes on everything, no on D, as in David.
So noted. Thank you. Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, personnel items A through E has passed.
Thank you. Then we'll go to board action items. Mr.
Madam Board President and members of the Board of Education, it is recommended that board action items A through C be approved by consent roll call.
So moved.
Mr. Pelori?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Lang. Again, comments or questions on the three items on board action? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Gorski?
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang.
Yes.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Mrs. Siegel.
Yes.
Mr. Tofano.
Yes.
Mr. Ryback.
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella.
Yes.
Mr. Pelori.
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through C has passed.
Thank you. Then
And that ends the superintendent's report.
Thank you. We will go to the business administrator's report. Mr. Gorski. Maybe we just skip it this time.
Very good.
All right.
Madam Board President and members of the Monroe Township Board of Education, it is recommended that board action items A through C be approved by consent roll call.
So moved.
Mr. Chiarella, was that you?
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Ryback second that? Comments or questions by board members? Mr. Ryback?
I just want to thank all the donors and the Central Jersey Music Educators Association Grant Program, the MU Beta PSI Alumni Association, and Monroe Township Education Association for their generous donations to this district.
Very nice, thank you. Anyone else? Then we'll have a roll call.
Mr. Pelori?
Yes.
Mrs. Siegel?
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo?
Yes.
Mrs. Lang?
Yes.
Mrs. Arminio?
Yes.
Mr. Ryback?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through C has passed. That concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, we'll go to the closed session resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves to go into closed session in accordance with the Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10:4-6 to 10:4-21, to discuss the following subjects: harassment, intimidation, and bullying, and the superintendent's evaluation. Following closed session, no action will be taken. The discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
So moved.
So moved by Mr.
Second.
Pelori, second by Mrs. Lang. All in favor?
Madam President,
Yes.
Michelle Arminio again.
Michelle?
Can I inquire why there's no public, another public portion this evening?
Because that piece is not ready yet.
No, there's no there's no another public forum, excuse me.
Oh, because according to policy, we do not have to have, a third or a second when we have a special meeting. It has
Considered
been.
a special meeting?
This is a special meeting.
Okay.
Yes, and in fact, we had, it was a first and second reading in the last two board meetings
Yep,
in policy.
of course. Thank you.
You're welcome. So at this time, I need a resolution to appoint Mr. Ryback as the temporary board secretary for closed session.
Seconded.
Mrs. Lang and Mr. Pelori.
So noted.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then at this time, the board will move into closed session, and I'm going to guess it's going to take us a little over an hour. Okay, at this time, the board will move back into public session, and our next scheduled Board of Education meeting will be held on June 11th, 2019, 7 o'clock p.m. at the Monroe Township High School. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
That's a special meeting, correct?
It is a special meeting for superintendent evaluation.
Thank you.
So moved.
Patty
Second.
moved it, and Mr. Tufano seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then the meeting is adjourned.